Why is it that some people want franchising to be something that it was never intended to be? Hi, this is John Hayes with HowToBuyAFranchise.com, and I've got a few thoughts for you today about the risk that's inherent in buying and operating a business, whether it's a franchise business or not. I've been involved in franchising now for 30 years, and through those years I've run into a few disgruntled franchisees, and I've read blog articles by disgruntled franchisees, sometimes former franchisees, claiming that they lost millions of dollars, that they lost their life savings, and in many cases I'm sure that's true. And they'll say things like, well, I bought this franchise, but it just didn't work. And my thought is always, gee, you could have figured out, or you could have found out, or you could have known in advance of buying the franchise whether or not it was going to work. It's pretty easy to do that if you do your homework. Or they'll say things like, the franchisor lied to me, or the franchisor made these promises but then never followed through. And there are always going to be integrity issues in business and integrity issues in franchising. But again, had you done your homework? Had you asked questions of existing franchisees, former franchisees, advisors to franchise companies, vendors to franchise companies, people who are well-grounded in franchising, you could have found out whether or not your franchise experience was going to be successful before you invested in the franchise. And yet, you can't always know for sure 100% because there are just no guarantees in business and no guarantees in franchising. In fact, you could operate your franchise business successfully for 5 or 10 years, be very satisfied, very happy, lots of good profits coming from your franchise business, and then all of a sudden, something occurs that changes all of that. For example, new management comes into the business, and you love the old management, but you don't see eye to eye with the new management. Or the existing ownership of the franchise company decides to sell, and more franchise companies sell today, and you don't like the new ownership. Or the new ownership is well-intentioned but doesn't follow through on promises. Or the new ownership flat out lies to the franchisees, for whatever that reason might be. There are also economic changes. Who predicted 2, 3, 4 years ago that we were going to be in the mess that we're in today economically, and it's affecting many of our franchise companies, many franchise companies that 2 and 3 years ago were doing extremely well, providing profits and satisfaction to the ownership, and it doesn't exist today. And then there are always going to be market changes. There are dynamics that occur with any market within a city or a region that change the demand for a franchisor's or a franchisee's products or services. And again, this isn't what's wrong with franchising. This isn't the fault of franchising. This is just business. There are no guarantees. There never will be guarantees. And there always will be risk involved in any kind of a business relationship. You must accept that before buying a franchise. If you can't, here's my advice. Keep your job. Thank you for being part of my franchise community at HowToBuyAFranchise.com and at FranchiseMastermind.com. I'm John Hayes. I look forward to talking to you in the near future through my blog and through future videos. Thanks.